I believe this technique is the best way to make 3D printed parts look like rusty metal, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is everything all laid out. We got all the supplies we're going to need for this. Everything that I can will be linked in the description of this video. This set right here is going to do the majority of the heavy lifting, but everything else you'll see as we go. I went ahead and started doing some of this off camera. You take your chip brush, your 1/2-inch chip brush, and I cut it at an angle so that way it's a little bit smaller. You go ahead and you want to add in some of your browns, your dark brown. So I just got some dark brown, some of this cheap acrylic artist's paint. Get your dark brown. You mix in some of your grout right here, and that's how you get that gritty texture. So first thing you want to do is get out of your rust and staining kit the camouflage black brown. That's the first one we'll start with. What we're going to do, we'll put some on our wet palette, which is right here, and then we're going to just go around and basically fill in where we want our staining and chipping. So this is going to be the first step of actually getting our rust effect going. So you put some of this onto your wet palette. We're going to use a lot, so you just kind of put a little bit of a blob there. Get your brush wet. Get some on. You want it to be pretty thin. You don't want it to be too thick. It's all, you'll figure it out. There's a lot of room for experimenting, and then you just want to put it on. You want to go kind of right up to your line where you put your dark brown. If it starts to look like you're putting it on too thick, just make it a little bit thinner. Add some more water to your brush, and you just kind of want to put it on there. Try to follow the same lines that you had before that you put on your bulk with your texture. Just keeping the paint moving so that way you don't make any high spots or heavy spots, and just go through and basically just pick out all your dark brown that you put on with the texture, with the grout. You just want to go and you want to find and add that. You really can't make a mistake here. If you miss some of it and you have some of your lighter brown sticking through, then that's fine. It's all this is, when you're adding in your textures, your layering and everything to add your rust effects and your weathering, it's all about adding texture. So you really can't go wrong. If it starts to look like it's too heavy and you need more water, you can add some more on your brush and it starts to move around a little bit easier. You can also go and grab your spray bottle, which I'll do here in a second. So you got the spray bottle, this spray bottle. Just give it a quick mist so that way everything's nice and wet. What that's going to do is it's going to really help the paint not like load up in one area or another. It's really going to help the paint flow, and it's really going to give you more time to work with it. So you've got your moisture from the wet palette, you got your moisture from the spray. I really like this spray bottle because it's better than the like spritzer bottle, because I find that it doesn't I find that it gives a more uniform mist. And so what I'm going to do is I'll bring you in here real close so you can see how it moves with the water. Alright, so I got you in real close. We'll give it another spritz. Kind of go from a far away so that way you can control how much water's on there. But look, you just put it on, and with the water that's already on the paint and already in the brush. Oh, this little guy right here. Take care of him. You just want to just kind of just move it around. Just want to get it all. You want to go over anywhere that you've put this light brown or your texture. Sometimes you can do it with the school glue that I had out if you wanted to just put the texture on first. Other times you could put the texture on, then your color coat, like the silver. That would also be acceptable. You really can't go wrong here. The idea is that you'll just put you need to mark where you want the dark and the rust to be, and then you want to add on this dark color. So you can see it's kind of going on a little too thin right here, so I'm going to add a little bit just of the regular paint back to my wet palette here, pour some in, and I'm not going to thin this time. It's already being thinned with the water, especially as I get lower down here. It's starting to pool, so we're a little bit too moist. You can always pull if you find that it's too wet. you just grab a napkin or a towel or a rag and you just start dabbing it off. You don't want to wipe it off. You just want to start pulling it away. You can see it's coming off, and that's fine because you'll start creating those more organic textures and elements that it starts to eliminate any of the brush strokes or any of the pooling, and that's fine. Then you just keep coming back and keep adding more. So it's almost like a wash, but not quite that thin because you still want to add the paint down because your rusty parts are still darker than the brown. So you're not really going for, in some cases, in this particular case, you're not really going for a muddy look. You're kind of going more for like the rusted metal parts. So, all right, I'm gonna finish this one up and then I'll be right back. So you want to make sure you turn the wheels, make sure you're not getting all from one angle. Just go ahead, keep adding it. Again, you can't really, you could overdo it, but like I think you'll know when you've got enough. Really the key to good weathering is to not take it too far. So like, okay, here's a great example. Right here I feel I added too much. Take your spritzer bottle, give it a squirt. You can see it already thinned it out. It's kind of running down, which is not what you want. So you just want to get your rag, collect any of that moisture, but now it's all gone. So you can go ahead and go back, add some more of your brown, work it into all of the edges, you know, work it down where it's going to pool. Because naturally rust is going to happen where the water in real life, you're trying to mimic reality. Anything organic is difficult to mimic, so you just want to add that. So I'm going to go ahead, finish the other wheel here off camera, and then we'll come back and add the next layer. Okay, so next what we want to do, now that we're mostly dry, I've gotten around and done the other 4 wheels. Now we're going to want to go along the edges of our rust part, not the darkest sections, but around the edges, and we're going to fill in with red leather here. That's the next color we're going to use. What that's going to do is it's going to give us our a little bit brighter tone around the perimeter here, and what that's going to do is going to accentuate the darker areas, give us some more layers, and then give us that more natural look. So again, this is all about building up layers and taking away as we put on, and that method of adding and subtracting really brings it all together. So for this, we've stepped down to a thinner brush. This one's a 5-0, and what we're going to do is basically we're just going to give it another spritz with our water bottle, get it kind of nice and wet, go on our wet palette, grab some of that paint, and we're like literally just going to trace around the outside. Anywhere the outside, you're going to go and add this rust, this red leather. So all along the perimeter, anywhere there's a high spot, anywhere through that transition of the brown and the silver. So that way it gives it just that like extra pop of color. And again, if you add it too heavy, it's okay. We can go back and blend it later with a large wet brush. So don't really too worry about that right now. Just go ahead and we're just going to fill in all the areas, just every perimeter all the way around, and just get it going. So I'm going to put on a time lapse. We're going to go through all of that and just get it going. Okay, so I went through, did all that, and now we're going to go back in and kind of blend. So in some of the areas, first what we're going to start with is we're going to start with our napkin again. We can kind of just start pulling it away, just dabs, just straight on, pull it right off, and then that way you don't have to worry about smearing or making it anything that you don't want it to. You want to make sure you're spinning this. So like here is a great example. I think it's a little heavy in this area here. Hopefully that's coming through, especially right here, right in this spot. So what you could do, just give it a little, with the squirt bottle, just give it a little spritz, like, and then just start pulling it away, dabbing it in. If it still looks a little heavy, to me it still kind of looks a little heavy, you could take your bigger brush, like we added the brown with, you could take your bigger brush, get it wet on your water, and just start, you know, blending it, you know, wet blending it in. But couple of the high spots, you don't necessarily mind if some of these are a little bit brighter than others. So don't go too overboard with your blending, because otherwise it's not going to be, it'll be more subtle, which is fine. You can spend some time and keep adding on your colors. That's okay, as long as if you take it away, you can always add it back on, which is great, because that's what will build up those layers. That's what this is all about. It takes a lot of time, and it's about adding and subtracting, blending with your brush. It's going to look like you're not doing much, especially at the beginning. You're going to be like, what the heck am I doing here? This is not looking like anything. But, you know, once it dries and you kind of take a step back, that's when you really see it all comes through. It doesn't look so bad anymore. And then that's what really gives you the good look. So I'm going to go ahead, let this dry. I'm going to work on the other 3 wheels, and we'll add the next layer. This is the step that it starts to get the color pop that we see over here in this section that's already done. When you start adding the brighter colors. So we've got our orange brown and our orange rust here, these 2 colors. What that's going to do for us, well, there we go, there we go. What that's going to do for us, now we're going to go and we're going to hit the centers of all of these areas. We're just going to try to give it a little bit of this color pop, because on any new rust that you see out in the world, it's not this dark color. That's like the older rust. And so now you want to give it that depth of color where you've got some new rust forming on top of your old rust. So we're going to take, we'll start with our orange brown, again, onto the wet palette. Put some down. You're not going to use nearly as much as we did in the last step. So you take your smaller brush, get it wet. We're actually going to use this one. We're going to add a little bit of water, thin it out a little bit, even though it's good there. Use our smaller brush, and we're just going to apply it kind of right, go kind of right along the edge again, except this time you're going to be on the inside of the line. So the last one we did on the outside to the silver transition, where the silver was, this one we're kind of putting in. And you kind of want to do this one a little bit more sparingly. Again, give it a little spritz. You can see as soon as you add that, it really starts to run. So you want to be either fully dry, give it an hour or 2 between layers, which is what I should be doing. And so you just want to give it a little bit just in all the areas. This color you don't want to go too heavy with, because it will kind of start to show it. If you feel like you've pulled too much off, like I kind of am feeling like I've done that, you can go back and you can grab some of your darker brown, add your darker brown back in. Again, it's all about building up, blending, getting those layers to work together. So anywhere where you've applied the light or the last color, you want to add in some of this heavier orange color, the newer rust. So that's what's going to give it that good organic look in the blotting it away. Don't be afraid to put it on and then take it right back off, because that's how you get the really organic shapes. So, and the textures, again, it's all about textures. I may even switch to my larger brush here, put a little bit of paint on, just kind of do a little bit of stippling, hit some of the spots kind of where it's going to be. And again, just grab your napkin. It's not quite wet enough. Give it a spritz and just start dabbing it away. All right, I'm gonna finish this up and we'll come back. Alright, so I got the yellows on, did some blending, still have to go back. Every time you look at it from a different angle, there's more, like you see, like this one is a little bit too bright. That's fine, you can just go back, especially with these acrylic paints. Makes it very easy to go back with a wet brush and just soften it up. Get your rag, blot it, so that way it dries out. You kind of dry it faster when there's less water, and that really starts to show through some of your more, some of the more like hot spots. Let me turn the light down here. Maybe I could give you a little bit better view of it. It's not so reflective, but yeah, I mean, you can see it starting to take shape. You've got some of that organic rust. We're still going. Let me turn the light back up. Get it going here. We've got our orange rust. We'll put that on our wet palette. Get just a couple drops. It's kind of the same color. It's just a little bit thinner. And so what you'll do with that is, again, you grab it on your brush and you just want to hit some of those areas just very lightly where you've got your lighter stuff. Again, you're going to just be pulling it back off, so don't be afraid to put it on a little bit heavier in some spots. What this is going to do is it gives you that good, like, new rust. Anytime you look at a great place to look at this, any rust that's got multiple age, is gas stations. Believe it or not, go look at the yellow poles where people run their cars into. You'll see all sorts of different color rusts, and it works its way out from the center. So it's like the new rust is nice and shiny, the old rust is very old and dark. And so yeah, so you don't need very much of this. Just want to get it, kind of do your blend, because the lighter you go, the more it starts to create an impact and really starts to show through. So you want to be very, very light. The lighter the colors, like the brighter, more yellows you get, you want to start making sure you pull, and you really want to do those in layers, not so much heavy. Use your I was using the big brush there, but use your small brush. Get it nice and wet on the palette, and you just want to kind of find the spots that just look right to your eye, kind of where they're at, and just kind of put some. You're just adding the highlights, so you want to hit the high spots, any spots that you think are good, and then again just start blotting it off. And if you think you took too much off, then you just add some more. Again, this one you don't want to go too heavy on. Alright, so now what we're going to use is the Wash Effects Light Rust. Again, comes in that pack. This one, give it a little shake. This is more, put that on your wet palette. It's already a wash, so you just want to kind of hit all the areas. What I like to do, hit everything, and get ready to just immediately grab your rag and pull it back off. This is what's going to give it in those nice crevices. Kind of blot it up. And if you think it's like kind of too much, you just want to hit some of the high spots. Again, you can always just go back, grab your water, put it down in the corners here. That's where you want it to go. So again, you can just grab your spritzer, give it a spray. That's going to run it out, so it's not going to be so heavy. And then just apply the wash and then take it right back off. So we'll just do that quickly over everything, kind of down in your corners, anywhere that like the liquids or rusts are going to collect. Pull it away. The best part is, if you think you've ruined it, you can just get it all wet, use some alcohol, pull it all off, and then you can just start right back over. So with the washes, you kind of want to just go right into those areas, kind of get I like to hit it down in the creases. Because if you do it up on the high spots, it doesn't necessarily look right. So it's like, this will be a good example in the logo in the center here. Just hit it, dab it. That's it. So down here, I'm not really liking the way this is coming out. So what we'll do, we'll clean our brush, dry it off a little bit, and we'll just take the brush and we'll just move it our wet brush. So there you go. So same thing over here. I don't really like the way this yellow is coming out in this corner, and hopefully that's coming through. It's a little too like yellow for me. So you just get your brush wet. I've got the water pot here. Get the water and you start cleaning it up. If it's too heavy, you'll just pull it. Get your rag, mop it up, and that's it. Get a little bit more. Kind of put it in like here. Just add something like that. Around. Especially with wheels, this would be a good thing to do with the wheels. Lift it up, give it a good spin. Because the reality is, it's not going to be just nice and flat where the water was. So, especially in those areas. So, come back through, just give it a quick little dab with a wet brush. Let it drip, let it run. And then kind of go back and kind of pick it up. Next step, grab your wash effects. You just got your rust now. This is a little bit different. That was light rust. So what I like to do is I'll just apply this directly to the brush because you really don't need that much. So you just add some to your brush, and again you just want to hit just very gently. It's all about putting these just a little bit at a time. This is a little bit more red than it is yellow, and I like that because it's not so harsh. And again, you kind of just kind of blot it. If it's wet enough, it will just sort of start to run exactly where you want it. So I'm not actually brushing anything, I'm just dabbing it where I want it. So again, you just put a drop or two on your brush, you just kind of lightly touch it. It'll just start to run, be very natural. There we go. Alright, clean your brush. We'll add the finishing touches next and we'll be done. Alright, for this step we're going to use our pigment powders. I chose brown, iron oxide, and old rust. You don't need a lot. This stuff goes a long way. So I have these little sculpting spoons I got at Harbor Freight, like sculpting tools. What I do is I'll just grab a very small amount, put it on my palette, and you can see like this stuff. If you've not used pigment powder before, like that's how much I'm using. Put it just on your tray. So what that's going to do, again, give it a little spritz, get it wet, get your brush wet. In this case, I'm using an acid brush. Again, you're not using a lot of this. You just want to put it, this is again, you just kind of grab it and you just want to dab. Again, this is all about just adding those layers of different brighter colors. So this is what's going to give it that more organic sort of organic colors. If it's too much, like right there, again, just pull it, just give it a, I'm holding the spritzer bottle like 12 inches away and spritzing this. Again, you don't want to do too much because you start pulling it off. So it's all very delicate. It's all about adding and subtracting. Every time you add a little bit, you end up taking a little bit more off. Now I'm adding in some of the old rust. Again, we'll get it on our palette, our spoon, just a little tiny bit. You don't need a lot. Like this is how much I'm talking about. Like just so little. Put it on our palette. Not the wet palette, sorry, let me clarify that. I've got this artist's like palette here. This is the red rust that I just did. I'm going to this one now. We'll clean off our brush. We'll get it a little bit wet. We'll grab, just barely dip the brush in, and we'll just go ahead and go over right where we were at the last couple of spots, just to give it some more of that pigment. The pigments go a long way, as you can see. It doesn't take much. I personally think this is too much red right here, but we'll see. A lot of it's going to change as things dry out, so we'll probably leave it for right now before we overcorrect anything. One last thing I like to do is I like to grab some chalk pastels that I have in this like palette here of natural sort of, I've got like skin tones, natural colors. I like to grab like this yellow, like these brighter tones that you're not going to find in like necessarily in the pigment powders. I've got my razor blade in there, and so what I like to do is, again, I just kind of give it, I just take this, I literally just like throw some of this, like I scrape it off, and I like sort of scrape it on there. And what that's going to do is it gives me an opportunity to then take my brush and just sort of give a little bit. You can see it's making a mess on my workbench here, but that's fine. Just gives it a little bit of color. You can even scrape some off onto your palette. The razor blade gives you a lot of different options, so you can see when I say a little bit, it's like so little. That's like 3 or 4 scrapes of the razor blade. You take your brush, you dab it in, mix it around to get it on the brush, and then you're just gonna hit the highlights. It's all about building up layers. I've probably said that 100 times by now. And then that's it. You leave it be, check it, let it dry, give it a little bit, see what it's like.